Well, as always, today is a day that you're grateful for. And I say that because you got a group of young men that are joining your team. It's kind of making it official, and you appreciate all the efforts that go into it by everyone. You know, I mean, the recruiting process, especially this class, this was a unique time for, you know, someone in this class to be going through this recruiting process, and for their families, but you appreciate all that went into getting it to this point. And you know, I think it's really important for us always to have guys that join our team that become and you know, will become great fits and great members of this team. And I think what I get excited about with this group of young men is I think they're tremendous fits to our program, and I think that always our current players have a big part in the recruiting. And I know our current players are excited for these guys to be joining us, and so grateful for that group to be joining our Badger football family.
Miles Burkett may not have the prototypical Big Ten height, but what did you see in him? What type of tools does he possess that you feel like he could come in and help this program?
Yeah, Miles, you know, pretty early you saw that he was certainly had enough talent, and the more you watched him, the more I kind of liked how he played, competed, and then the more that you talk to him and you're around him, I just think that he's got kind of who he is, and is the competitive part of him, the leadership abilities that he has. I thought that's a really good fit, and a guy that I get every time I have a chance to be around him, I get more excited about him. And certainly, you know, what he and his teammates, coaching staff did there. It's not easy to win a state championship, and even before that, you know, the success they had. But I think he loves football. I think that's important for a quarterback. He's got a little football junkie in him that way, but loves competing. And he was fun. I think he was one of those guys that no matter who you're talking to, you know, he's a connector. He connects other guys on the, in the group, and I think he's just got a lot of qualities that you know are important, and things that we value, and I'm excited certainly about Miles.
Paul, you've got 13 signings, unless I can't count. There's a couple guys still out there. Up for grabs, flip the coin. But with the transfer portal and with another signing day, this class could still go on. You could add. Do you have an idea on where it might end up, or is that still to be determined?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that you're still, it's still going to be a work in progress. And, you know, I don't know if that probably, there's a good chance from here on out as we go. You know, certainly there's a second signing day, which we all knew about. But I think with the added different things you've talked about, you know, transfers, whether it's us bringing one in or, you know, guys leaving, right? I think it's going to be more fluid than it certainly has been. And so I do know, in particular this class, you know, there will still be work in progress, and that's some that I know of for sure, and some that you know, you don't know that you could say, yep, we're done with this right now.
When Cade Giacomelli camped with you guys, he impressed coaches at 3 different positions. He's listed as an athlete. As of now, What do you envision his role could be? Can he fit a spot for you as a running back in some capacity?
Yeah, it's, Cade's fascinating to us that way. And, love his background and kind of what they've done. Again, another, member of a state championship team and who he works out with, we back home in Pittsburgh, we know quite well. And I think that running back certainly is one that he could be, and also think that he could be, effective, in some form or fashion in a receiving type of a role. And feel like he could do some things on defense. But, if you had to go right now, I think that you probably would, maybe, I don't know, it'd be interesting. You might, running back, I think he's got a chance to be a good one there. But that's where it's exciting, like when he gets on campus. And I think that when you can recruit guys that are good football players, that kind of depending on where they're at, we had one in last year's class, so we weren't quite sure what he'd be, and so I think the more guys that you have like that, it's good for your program. But I think if you said he was going to be a running back, I think he'd be really good. But I also, like you said, when he was at camp, we had a number of coaches say, I'd gladly take him in my room.
Kind of along the lines of running back, you ended the regular season obviously a little thin at that position. Ches is coming off an injury. You don't have technically a designated running back in this class yet. Are you determined, as this process goes on, to try to bring one in some fashion?
Yeah, I think that no in the sense of kind of, if it was the draft, wouldn't say it's a need.
Okay.
100% driven, right? If you got the right fit, then absolutely you would. And we looked at a few kind of throughout this, but I think there's part of it, both Ches and Isaac, were really excited about, and certainly, what Ches did, and Isaac had fewer, if they're healthy, like them a lot. But to your point, we were thin at the end of the season, and so I think, like anything, that if you get the right fit, and I think there'll be enough where maybe at any position, if it's the right fit, and certainly there's some guys that we're still actively recruiting. The couple that we knew weren't going to be, the timetables were going to be different, and but still feel like they could be great fits.
Exactly. Paul, I think when this early signing period was put into place, you were a fan of it.
Yep.
It sounds like people are not a fan of it anymore. It could be going back to just the one in February. Where do you stand on this early signing period?
Yeah, I think, for a lot of, I think the first thing you should probably look at is, how does it impact the prospects that end up signing? And I think for a large number of them, this is the most challenging year, because of, what was it, more than a year where they couldn't go anywhere. There wasn't access, so they were kind of set back. And yet, I know there's a ton of them, and in previous years where they just want it done. They've gotten a good look at, they know where they want to be, and so I still am in favor of having an early signing period. And I think certainly, other rules, other things come into play that affect it, and so there's going to be discussion. I don't know that it's just solely on the early signing, but I think it's a combination of the early signing and then, a lot of, I think this year seemed a little bit unique where schools were making earlier decisions on coaching changes, really some in season so that they could have their coach in place. And you're never going to catch up, right? Because one may be filled, but that's going to open another one. And yet it still is just the early signing period. There still is, the February signing period. And then obviously the transfer portal has changed things. But I think to just scrap the early signing, there's still a lot of guys that go through a traditional recruiting kind of timeline. And for a lot of them, most of them, they've done it and, had a chance to take summer visits and they know where they want to go, and it's nice for them to have it wrapped up and ready to go.
Lance in the back. Wanted to ask you about a couple of local guys. Barrett Nelson, I'm guessing someone you've watched for a long time, and then JT Seagreaves. What did you see in JT as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously really excited about both of them, and you appreciate them joining us. And with Barrett, we do, kind of knew about him longer, and what I'm excited about is obviously, Jack's here, but they're different, and I think it's a great fit for Barrett, just like I think it's been a really good fit for Jack, and yet, obviously he brings a ton athletically, but I think who he is as a guy and how he fits in with our team, I think it's a really good fit. And JT was kind of a fun, kind of tracked him early, but came to summer camp and had a great camp, and then came back another one, and our players are able to work those camps, and he became one that our players, Ferg was working at, and just loved what he did and how he competed, and I love that he's a multi-sport athlete, and really good basketball player, runs track, does a lot of things, and so kind of different paths to it, and I think that's what's always interesting to me about recruiting, and everyone's got a different story and a different path. I think if you were to ask JT a year ago, he was probably thinking, what, if I could play basketball in college, that's what I'd do. And yet, we couldn't be more confident that he's got a great future as a football player, and we're appreciative that we get a chance to be with him and help him in this football journey.
Cool. I want to ask you about a couple of your walk-ons, because especially some of these later ones like Luna Larson turned down some scholarship offers to walk on with you guys at the linebacker position. How do you think that came to be with the relationship with them, and why they chose you over some scholarship offers?
Yeah, I mean, it's you truly are grateful that we're at a place that guys will do that. I think it certainly, there's a number of guys that have made those decisions. It's a guy that we talked a lot about this year, in Matt Henningsen. And, Henny had some tremendous offers, but and I know I say it a lot, but, those guys knew this was a good fit for them. And I think they know that they're going to get a great opportunity. And this group of guys joining us, not just scholarship and walk-on players, I think that's where we really do get excited about, because I think we got a really, and you should think that today, right? That we think they can contribute, and we think they got something special to them. But I really do believe that. This group is, we feel fortunate, because we think we're adding a lot of guys in the walk-on pool that we think are really, really good football players and really good fits with our team.
Coach, you got two players who missed almost all their senior seasons, or all of it, with Curtis and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect both of them to be ready for fall camp? And what just made you confident in their rehab process, or in them as players, to maybe not take insurance policies or recruit over them in this class and keep the numbers where they are?
Yeah, I think that just in kind of as the recruiting, and I remember with Kurt, it was early, going in and just getting to know who he is. And, I think, we've got a lot of guys that have gone through those. But I've loved the way both of them have responded, to those setbacks and the work that they've put in. And both will be here and be able to continue that. I do believe that both will certainly be ready for fall. I don't know if they'll be ready for, spring ball, but it's, because it's coming early. But it's, there wasn't a hesitation. We know who they are and believe in who they are. And, you get a lot of guys that get hurt. And fortunately now, maybe, different than a number of years back where, you got an injury like that, change back. But, I think the big thing that when we go recruiting, you know, when we say you've got an offer, they have an offer. And when they are committed, we take that commitment seriously. You know, we are not gonna play games with words, and what we say, we mean. And so, when a guy gets hurt, just like one of our players gets hurt, we're gonna be with them the whole way, and we're gonna help them and make sure that they get as healthy as they can be and come back. But, you know, we are not gonna play games with an offer means you've got an offer, and a commitment means that we hold true to that commitment. Commitment's on both ends. And so I think, you know, in that way, that's a non-negotiable.
Paul, when I look at the, you know, at the paper here, it said 10 signees from the state of Wisconsin, but you know, as a head coach coming back, starting with that 2015 season, have you seen in-state recruiting battles from those within the state borders become tougher with the talent that's here?
Yeah, I think that you always, you know, each individual is different, and you know, we've always thought that there's really good talent in this. And you know, this class had a number of kids that, you know, kind of early were identified, and you got a lot of attention. And so, but I think we've always kind of felt like, you know, just because from Wisconsin, I mean, you don't go and you got to recruit them hard, you got to work, and you got to make sure that, you know, they're a good fit for you, and you know, your university, your program is a good fit for them. And so I think that you know, you're always starting at kind of a, you know, fresh start and going. But you know, for a long time, known there's really good football players here, and I think, you know, certainly with what we do in this state, and you know, we got tremendous coaches and programs, but you know, we play fewer games than, you know, some other states, and don't have spring ball like other states do. And so, you know, I think evaluating a kid from a state like that is different than evaluating a kid from, you know, a state that's got spring ball and plays, you know, some of them are playing 15, 16 games, you know. So I think that hadn't changed how we view, and certainly I view the talent in this state. It's just going to look a little different, maybe side by side on a high school film, but not surprised by it. And you know, for a number of years, been able to recruit guys from Wisconsin. You always felt like there was competition.
I know you talked about building out your recruiting staff. Now that signing day's here, do you kind of have an ideal timetable when you want to get a complete recruiting staff in place?
Yeah, I think that, you know, finish out this season, and you know, you're always working on things and thinking about, but you know, we'll kind of, after the bowl is when we'll take a look at, you know, all your staffing issues and make sure you're squared away.
Well, one of those in-state players that you signed this year is Joe Brunner, top-ranked kid in state. How significant is his addition to this program, considering the challenges it's been in the state, in that class, and the talent level that he can provide on the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Joe, excited, right, that he's joining us, and you know, his brother's already on the team right now. But you know, there's a guy that certainly has talent, and I love his personality and kind of the way he goes about kind of all that he does, and you know, I think that, you know, it's not as important to me that, you know, here's the number one ranked guy in the state or whatever that is, right? Because who's to say, really, you know, and yet, you know, I think he's got a great upside to him, and I think a guy that loves football, and you know, love his personality, and you know, adding him to this team and to the O-line room is a good add. You know, I think those are what really you choose to focus on, and I think maybe the byproduct is also, it's a good thing, right? But it's that's not why you're excited about him. I think you're excited because of what Joe brings and that he's joining us.
We have time for one more call.
Oh, we have a couple new staff members and Hank and Gary that haven't been able to get on the road and recruit with you guys. What have you learned about them as recruiters and how they kind of go about it?
Yeah, it's you know, it's interesting because kind of the time we're able to get on the road, you know, it was great being back on the road, but you know, you're kind of in the, all right, let's go see this class and let's make sure we're good. And you know, I think, you know, certainly, you know, from evaluations and all the time you're on the phone and doing whatnot, you know, both get it. You know, it's important, right? It's important to us all, and I think they also do a great job of getting this place, right? And what you're accurately representing and giving prospects an accurate picture and representation of this place. And I think the more they're around and see, you know, the kids that we have in our current roster and you know, get to know them and, you know, why do you like it here and what are the things that you value, right? That helps you in recruiting because you know, then you're talking about the real stuff, you know, the honesty in it. But both, you know, obviously very pleased with and you know, we all, you know, I think we got a lot of guys that they understand it and they're good, and you still keep trying to get better. Just like everything you try to do in this program, right? I think we got guys that are